Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to the Great Man Explorer series, sponsored by Notnilc. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, easily over 6 months. In the past, we've looked at the fraudulent exploits of Magellan, Ponce de Leon, and there was a combined video from Marco Polo and Kublai Khan, based on the bullshit that was presented in that Netflix series, which was actually pretty good, called Marco Polo. But don't take it for historical accuracy. Today we do the big one, Christopher Columbus. The big one, the most famous explorer in all the world. And I'm not sure how this is going to go because I had one of those gigantic, fat, oversized hot dogs for breakfast. You know, I start these very early. There's so many nitrites and nitrates floating around my head, probably with a big dose of MSG. I'm completely high at this point. Like I just ate 2 helpings of chicken lo mein. I think it'll go away. This might be a little odd to start. I apologize. Matt, how accurate will the history be as we do this research? Not very, as usual. The problems start right away on Wikipedia. The very first image at the top representing Christopher Columbus is this. Let me show you what the caption says. I included the fingers so you know it's the same painting or portrait of Dorian Gray. Portrait, not picture. See Dorian Gray? Portrait of a man said to be Christopher Columbus. What? That is not a very good start. Portrait of a man said to be Christopher Columbus. Really? That's how you start your Wikipedia and you expect me to believe the history? Whether it be Wikipedia or the Louvre, whoever it is. How do we represent Christopher Columbus and all the great history? Well, we got this portrait here. Well, is it him? I don't know. It could be. Should we use it? Yeah, fuck it. Use it. Said to be Christopher Columbus. What if your grandson and your granddaughter put image of you up? He said, I think that's grandpa. I don't know who it is. Fuck it. They just put anybody. Said to be, that's the very first image and you expect me to believe the history that's coming? We're not getting off to a good start, folks. And look at the fingers. I'm sure you're yelling at me, Matt, talk about the fingers. Hey, Christopher, whoever posed for this picture, it could be any old man. Spread your fingers out. The painter should have said, why are you pushing your fingers together? They broke or something? Spread your fingers out. You want to be captured for posterity for thousands of years with your fingers smushed together? Matt, that's a secret society gesture. It's not my first conspiracy video. It might be skull and bones. It might be other sorts of horse shit. I don't care. The whole thing's starting out bad, don't you think? Now, I can't do any videos like this anymore without making sure at least everybody's aware of the William Casey, director of the CIA, quote, "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the U.S. public believes is false." Don't want to do more than 30 more seconds on this. When this came out, or we looked at this as truthers 12, 14 years ago, we thought this must be some sort of a joke. It's actually literally coming true somehow. Reality itself, Notnilc itself, is seeing to a rewriting or a reconstructing of basically everything that we thought was bedrock history. So, Matt, how much of this explorer stuff do you believe is true? 15 to 20%. I do believe these individuals existed in life. Like many truthers, I don't believe there was a reset 60 years ago and we've only been here 60 years. And I believe that these people probably lived. But in terms of everything that Notnilc will say they did, no, I don't buy it. But I'll put it at 15%, say. That triggers the first great truther, of which, of course, these people must never have existed. It's all a lie. Well, maybe it is. But we'll never know. Who really cares? We're not. You think I'm here to get to the bottom of the real history? Do you think that's what this video's for? It's to make fun of it and to see what the Notnilc wants us to believe. It's a Humpty Dumpty take. You think we're going to do this to try to figure out what Christopher Columbus really did? You don't know this channel very well. Mostly it's to see what Notnilc wants us to believe. That's more important, to figure out the heart of where the trickster is coming from. What he really did, who gives a shit? Sorry. Unfortunately, we have to start out with the official history and what Notnilc wants us to believe about Christopher Columbus. And I can hear voices in the night. What do you want to tell me? The 2 C's, 33. Yeah, is this my first conspiracy video? I don't think so. Forget that horse shit. Christopher Columbus, between the 25th of August and Halloween 1451 through May 1506, was an Italiano. Hey, Jack, we're going to miss the Titanic. Finish up your card game. Matt, if you keep doing this, I'm going to go away. Sorry, let me just get through it. He was an Italian explorer and navigator from the Republic of Genoa who completed 4 Spanish-based voyages across the Atlantic Ocean, sponsored by the Catholic monarchs. There they go again, the same old culprits, opening the way for the widespread European exploration and colonization of the Americas. His expeditions were the first known European contact with the Caribbean in Central and South America. The name Christopher Columbus is the anglicization of the Latin Christophorus Columbus. Well, okay, why you got to tell me that? Everything we speak in English is an anglicization of something. The name Tyrone came from Tyrannus. What's the point? Growing up on the coast of Liguria, he went to sea at a young age and traveled widely, as far north as the British Isles and as far south as what is now Ghana. Wait a second. As far north as the British Isles? They're touting that as some great expedition. There's people that have swam across the English Channel. What is this even talking about? There's people that grease up every year and they swim from France to England, and they're touting this as some sort of great expedition. You could row across from Normandy, my friend. He married a Portuguese woman, Philippa, who bore a son, Diego, and was based in Lisbon for several years. He later took a Castilian mistress, that's not very nice, Christopher, Beatrice, who bore a son for him, Ferdinand. That's not very nice. Philip is Portuguese wife said, Christopher, where are you going out tonight? You going out? You're just going to have a few beers with the boys? No, I'm going to get myself a Castilian mistress, Beatrice, and I'm going to bear a son. No, come back, Christopher. We have a good relationship. He just walked out on his Portuguese wife. This isn't a very kind gentleman. Largely self-educated, Columbus was knowledgeable in geography, astronomy, and history. He developed a plan to seek a western sea passage to the East Indies, hoping to profit from the lucrative spice trade. He developed a plan. What do you mean a plan? So you can only stare down at a map. What plan? You have to go out and try it. You can't plan it out, and you can't ask ChatGPT for advice. Back then, what does that even mean, a plan? It's just an alternative route that another moron hadn't tried yet. The lucrative spice trade. That's code for drugs, of course, and trying to addict another nation onto heroin and to poppy seeds. After the Grenada War and Columbus's persistent lobbying in multiple kingdoms, the Catholic monarchs, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, agreed to sponsor a journey west. Columbus left Castile in August 1492 with 3 ships and made landfall in Americas on the 12th of October, ending the period of human habitation in the Americas, now referred to as the pre-Columbian era. His landing place was an island in the Bahamas, known by its native inhabitants as Guanahani. He then visited the islands now known as Cuba and Hispaniola, established a colony in what is now Haiti. Columbus returned to Castile in early 1493. Oh no. Here's the same repeating theme with captured natives. Word of his voyage soon spread throughout Europe. Matt, did you think you'd get through this very far without him starting to screw over the natives? No, I didn't think I would get very far with that reality script coming back into play. The screwing over of the indigenous and native population. Let's see, ChatGPT, is there one story anywhere in the world where the natives kicked the ass of the explorers? I want to read about that. For this one, guys, unlike the first portrait I showed you, the painter is relatively sure it's Christopher Columbus is actually labeled below him, and the painter's name is listed. Alprando Caprioli labeled it as Christopher Columbus, like the first portrait where they didn't know who it was. But Wikipedia led with that. By the way, this does not look like the same man that's in the first portrait, and it does say portrait, as all of them do, not picture of Dorian Gray. But I don't want to get on the wrong side of the Mandela effect triggered here. It's just more examples of how ridiculous it would be to call it the picture of Dorian Gray. Okay, guys, let me use a different program for the all-important map so you can see my cursor here. My voice probably sounds a little bit different in this program. This is the official history of what the Notnilc wants us to believe about Christopher Columbus. Is it real? Who knows? Who knows, but we need to at least know what the Notnilc wants to impress upon us. I'll do that using this map in hopefully 2 minutes or less. All right, now 4 voyages. The voyage to the New World and the return trip depicted in 4 different colors. Christopher Columbus, remember, was an Italian explorer, but he sailed for Spain. Apparently his own country wanted nothing to do with him. He said, get out! And then he had to try to pitch his little plan and proposal to other monarchs, and he was kicked out of Portugal, I believe. And eventually he came to the Great Hall of Spain before Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. And he said, "I can do something very special for you." And who let this eye-tie Italian explorer in my Great Hall unless he's prepared to bake me a stromboli? Get him out of here. And he's, "Wait a second, I bake you a stromboli, but wait, I want to go to the New World. I can make you famous." Okay, I don't know exactly how it went down. Something along those lines. And they were about to kick him out again. But he said, "What do you have to lose? If I die from the Kraken?" They basically said, "That's true. What do we have to lose? Let's give this damn Italian explorer, give him his 10,000 Spanish ringgits or whatever they had. Give him his doubloons or whatever. And if, it's not costing us much, but if he succeeds, he's doing it under the flag of Spain and the greatness of Queen Isabella." So they gave him his money, and he set sail. Now, most people in the United States believe he landed, in Charleston, South Carolina. He landed in Florida or along the U.S. mainland. He never touched the U.S. mainland. It was all down here in the Caribbean, Cuba. It called it Hispaniola. That's where Haiti and the Dominican Republic is today, just like all these arrogant explorers. Hispaniola means Little Spain. So he got off the ship. All the natives that were there for 10,000 years came up to him and he said, "I declare this Hispaniola, Little Spain." And the natives said, "Well, we've been here 10,000 years. See, it's not Little Spain. It's what we say it is. We're Humpty Dumpty. I declare," it's just like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School. "I dedicate this building to myself." And he threw the dirt on Dr. Bombay. He said, "You can't declare it Little Spain. We've been here 10,000 years. You've been here 10 minutes. It doesn't matter to these arrogant European explorers. They just keep planting their flag." And again, I want one story where the natives bum rush and kick the shit out of the explorer. Say, "Don't you ever come back, fool." Why can't, it doesn't make any sense. It's a reality breakdown. I don't think we'll get to it in this video. Doesn't make any sense how these explorers with a few powder rifles and some armor can get off ship, and the natives that have access to poison darts and understand, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no way how these little explorers coming off their boats could continually overrun hundreds or tens of thousands of natives. So anyway, look what they did in Avatar. They showed us what the natives are capable in the movie Avatar. So he never made it to the U.S. mainland, just down here in what could be considered Central America and the Caribbean, before making his way back. That's the official story. Matt, is that true? Who knows? I have no idea. Looking at this map for another minute before leaving it behind, and I need to do another segment. This one we'll call What We Would Notice About a Strange Presentation in Wikipedia. What we, those that question reality, would notice. We're your cousins and your Aunt Ginny and the guy down the road, of course. They would just bow down before everything Wikipedia puts forth and just accepts that it's absolutely true. I mean, there's strange anomalies just in this map. I know everything's bot-driven, but every once in a while it gives itself away. So I was looking over here. I thought, why is this city in the middle of the United States labeled, a city I've never heard of? Why is it labeled on a map regarding Christopher Columbus's 4 major voyages? Cahokia. I don't know, Cahokia. Well, certainly it must be in some way related to Christopher Columbus, but I thought, but how? He never made a trek 1,000 miles inland. Certainly Wikipedia is not going to make this sort of mistake on a key map. So I looked it up. This is some sort of ancient American, Native American city, tribal city, that supposedly was gone 100 years before Christopher Columbus. It's an ancient Native American city of legend and lore. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Christopher Columbus voyage, but yet the bot has just labeled it for no reason on this map. Didn't label Jacksonville or Miami or Charleston or New York. It labeled Cahokia for no reason, okay? Which means all of these cities are inland here in Brazil, labeled for no reason. Tenochtitlan, the middle of Mexico. Somebody looking at this map would say, well, there must have been an expedition from Christopher Columbus's ships to these cities. Not at all. No relationship. Again, I immediately started thinking this, I'm sure you would as well, where your cousins and everybody around us would just bow down that this map is completely legitimate. So if that's not legitimate, what else is not legitimate? So for example, the routes. I mean, would they have GPS glued to the front of the ship? Or, how would they know? Okay, the blue route here, the first voyage. Okay, sailing along the coast of Africa, that makes sense. If you want to stay, this was of course well mapped out, the coast of Africa. Want to stay kind of close in case something happens. Somebody's got to run to the bathroom, whatever it may be. This makes sense to a degree. Okay, comes over here. They don't really know what they're going to find. Maybe legends and lore from the Vikings. Who knows what? They bought some ancient scrolls from Leif Erikson. Who knows? Okay, but the voyage back, how would they know? How would they know exactly the route? Okay, the route down Cuba, okay, that makes sense. But then they know that they went up an additional 1,000 miles? How would anybody know that? How would, it's just, I mean, look, at least there should be a note here. Blue return home route 1,000 miles north is an estimate taken from Christopher Columbus's personal notes that different star charts were followed on the way home. I don't know anything. It just, look at this one, the orange, all the way down. Okay, hug the coast of Africa. Anybody got to go to the bathroom? Last chance to take a piss. And then, okay, but then this one is another 1,000 miles. They would have never been able to know exactly what the route is. It's ridiculous. Now, we think this way, but nobody else does. I came across this, so let's look at one more strange map. This says here, possible route of the Pinta. Yeah, I forgot to mention this, of course. The three famous ships everybody's heard of, the Nina, the Pinta, go ahead, say it, they know, the Santa Maria. I thought that was the Pilgrims, so that was the Mayflower. Okay, fine. All three ships, they come in from the Canary Islands. Fine, they come down here, hug the coast of Cuba. Okay, makes sense. I don't really love how this line just juts out 300 miles. And how would they know? Okay, fine. And then there's this box. They do a loop-de-loop and do a box. And somehow they recorded that accurately. Fine. Okay, I'll give you that. Impossible. Three ships are together. But here's what bugs me. Right here, there's this dotted pink line. If you're long-haul trucking, I'll just describe it to you. Make sure you don't run over a little old lady. It says here, possible route of the Pinta. So let me get this straight. Three ships, the Pinta split out on its own to hug these islands. How would it even know where it's going? Even if this was the second or third voyage, how would it know? Okay, fine. Say it's the fourth voyage. I don't really know. But here's the thing. How do you meet up with the other two ships? We all have our Verizon cellular phones? Does the cellular system work out there? They have the satellite phone, Intelsat. How do you meet up? Okay, fine. The Santa Maria and the Nina are continuing down through across the strait here to Haiti and what would become the Dominican Republic or Hispaniola. But here the Pinta is coming down from another route. How would they possibly know where to meet back up? I mean, come on. Even Matt, well, this is the third. They know there is a port here of some kind. Well, there would be maybe there's an inlet. There's no port. There's nowhere to tie up. There's just people in loincloths on the beaches. There's no real port. I mean, maybe there is a place where there's shallows. But okay, let's say the Pinta goes a little bit offline and they land here. Well, how do you know to get back to the Santa Maria and the Nina? How do you know whether to go the east or west? It just doesn't make sense. How would one ship split off? I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I ain't buying it. This image says, coat of arms granted to Christopher Columbus by Pope Alexander VI upon his return voyages after his fourth. Some sort of reward or something. Real quick, the Notnilc is in love with their symbols and their coat of arms and their flags. It is so Notnilc. It is so unneeded by the real spiritual being. I mean, if you've fashioned a coat of arms, you've lost. I mean, this is an absolute joke. They need this for some reason. Who knows what it does for them, but it's been done over too many hundreds of years. That would be called a century, Matt. It's been done over too many centuries. It gives them something. Who knows? It's their pecking order of their sequential incarnation. But just for fun, if you've done it for your family or something, you need to get rid of that shit. Trust me. Don't ever emulate the Notnilc in this regard or any other regard. This painting is called The Death of Columbus, lower left, by Prang and Company, 1893. You see the problem? He died in the early 1500s. Prang and Company painted this over 300 years later. What do you know, Prang and Company? You weren't there, sir. You don't know what took place in that room. Who trusts you? They probably did it just to make some money, put it on a stamp or something. And look, of course, the Catholic Church has its acolytes and its minions all hovered around its champion. By the way, if there's a lot of Christians here. If you're new, don't get pissed off. I hope the Christians listening to me don't see the Vatican as, say, your brother. You don't see you guys as the same, right? I hope not. You think the Pope and the Vatican, you think, oh, that's just another sect of Christianity, Matt. We're all one. You have some work to do. Hopefully the Christians that are listening to my voice don't associate themselves with the Vatican. Two completely separate things, my friend, but we don't have time in this video. The death of Columbus by Prang and Company. He probably just wanted to put it on a stamp and make money, but this is probably the way it went down. The Catholic Church sent in its unholy minions and acolytes to hover around their champion. If we focus in on this image, I could certainly write a Harlan Ellison type "I have no mouth, but I must scream" short story associated with what's taking place here with the Catholic priests and bishops hovering around Christopher Columbus. You can hear the Latin around the room if you close your eyes, can't you? And Domino Patris. I don't know any Latin. It's just what I stole from Braveheart. The Latin being spewed, and one Pope or bishop saying to the other, Christopher Columbus is just a few moments away from death. And the lie, the ruse of him going across the Atlantic dies with him. Christopher, you still with us? Yeah, yes. You never told anybody, right? You played your part to perfection. You never told anybody that we sent the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria out 100 miles and you just caught some fish and came right back. I never told nobody. The lie, my friends and brothers and priests and bishops, the lie dies with him. Maybe. The Notnilc's capable of that. I'm not sure you would believe me, so I have to show you how the next image is titled, because I joke around a lot. You think I'm just making this up. The remains of Christopher Columbus preserved in the University Library in Pavia. We're about to see, it's in a pyramid. It's gross, but it's not that gross. The remains of Christopher Columbus preserved. Ew! You would think I'm joking, but I had to show you this. Okay. This apparently are the remains. We'll talk about it in just a second. But guys, I want you to know, anybody new, we do this together on the fly. I don't know what image is coming next. The Notnilc never disappoints. One image is creepier than the other or stranger than the other. I don't go out and do research and then to say, oh, this would make a good video, because I'd only be able to do one video a week. We do this on the fly together, but once again, the Notnilc never disappoints. Did you think I'd be coming across Christopher Columbus's remains in the University of Library in Pavia in a little pyramid? I didn't either, but it never disappoints. It always gives a shit. Here, okay. Let's go visit the University Library of Pavia. Yes, I'm from America. United States. I'm Matt. This is the University Library of Pavia, right? I hear you have Christopher Columbus's remains in a little pyramid in a box. Can I see it, please? Oh, sure. You're from America. Yeah. We have Christopher Columbus's remains in a pyramid in a box, but you can't touch the box. I have to open. I don't care who opens the box. Just open the box and show me the remains. What's that red thing in there? What is this? What exactly smushed in there? I see some red. Is that a blood splatter? I mean, what the hell? And why are you keeping it in a pyramid? What's the matter with you people here at the University of Pavia? Why don't you let it out of the box? Let it breathe. This painting is called The Landing of Columbus in the West Indies, but was painted again in 1846. They didn't have painters in 1510, 1515, 1520. Shortly after Columbus died, they had great Renaissance painters, right? Where's all the paintings from the 1500s? Wouldn't his greatness want to be captured right about the time of his life, or at least shortly after his death? And a lot of the truthers are saying, well, Matt, that's how they put together the false history 300 years after the fact. That is possible, of course. But the person on the far left has a rifle. I mean, okay, I'm not so sure. Black powder rifles, according to history, were invented right around the time of Columbus, but very, very rare. Let's just say it's real. It wouldn't have been very effective. I mean, just a lead ball, one shot every 2 minutes, pack it, black powder it. It really wouldn't have been, after your first shot, you might as well throw it down and pick up a sword. So it really doesn't make a difference in terms of all these explorers conquering the indigenous. Of course, the painting, look at the far right. the painting depicts the indigenous running away naked, and one indigenous there is bowing down before their new god, their new European god. Or maybe he just really wants a pair of those pants. Look what Columbus is wearing, those ruffled, I don't know if you call them shorts or what sort of leggings he's wearing. I don't know, but they're bowing down before him. Guys, you know my problem with this story. These indigenous would have been, to a degree, at war with each other for 1,000 years, and they would have learned about poison darts and snake venom and bows and arrows. And so you have a group of several hundred coming off ships, and even if the local tribe only has 50, they couldn't have runners that could get to other tribes that have 400, 700, 1,000, 2,000. How they spread the word in Avatar, I don't buy it. In most cases, forget just this explorer, Ponce de Leon and Cortez, the Mayas, the Incans, the Aztecs. In almost all cases, the locals, the indigenous, with a few exceptions, but for the most part, should be able to very pretty easily overrun those that have no understanding or lay of the land, that just have some swords and some armor, and in some cases, some black powder. Again, great, one shot every minute and a half. They're not exactly getting off the damn ship, the Maria, with a 50 cal. I mean, the indigenous had been at war with each other. This is just, I don't get this. There's something major league wrong with the same repeating script that the Notnilc pushes forth time after time. I had no idea what would be coming next, but again, the Notnilc never disappoints. The statue outside the U.S. Capitol building from the mid-1800s to 1958 of Christopher Columbus with it says cowering Native American, it says Indian, Native American native, cowering maiden is what it says. And in support of the Splat Turfers, you're really going to love this. The Splat Turfers would come forth and say, of course, this is what Christopher Columbus's role was. He's holding up the round earth. Yeah, Pootie Tang Award. The earth has no shape. It is whatever you investigate it to be. It's very fluid. It's shifting. There's nothing you could go up and look down upon. We'll talk about that some other time. I'm not here to support the Splat Turfers. If you think it's a certain shape and you push for that shape in your research, you've lost. But of course, that's the Splat Turfers really should use this in their defense. He's holding up the globe. I mean, of course, they do push that. There's not one scientist that's somebody that doesn't work for government that doesn't say it's completely round, and they push their own shape. Well, Neil of the Grass-Fed says oblique spheroid, like his waistline, but they push a solid shape. Of course, they want you to pick a side and pick a shape, when of course it's a fluid reality that has no shape, but we'll talk about that some other time. Then of course they have their symbolism of what the sword is laid down by the feet. To me, what's your interpretation, Matt? I'm no expert at this horse shit. To me, it's we've conquered you great unwashed, the indigenous, the proletariat, you plebes. We've conquered you with our ruse. We didn't need the sword. That's what this is saying to me. Didn't need the sword. We've conquered your minds. We've put you on the ship of fools. That's what it says to me. The sword is just laid down. They didn't need the sword to push this sort of globe. And okay. So what else? They of course they had to remove it. Of course, in 1958, for somebody complained or something. Notnilc had it up there for about 100 years. But this is more proof to me of the one world system. U.S. Capitol building, right? If everything's real, there was an American Revolution fought, led by George Washington and the Founding Fathers, and they pushed back against King George III, against England. What does an Italian explorer or Spain have to do with everything? Why would you care one bit? How did Columbus even become as popular as he is? It just doesn't make any sense. An Italian explorer working for Spain who landed on Cuba. Well, there should have been a few notes in the history books about it, but to be as big as it was, it's not like he landed in New Jersey. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, this founding of the New World, it's so Notnilc. They're in love with it for a variety of reasons that we'll never know. The story itself, because he never landed in the United States, if anything were real, wouldn't be that big. We would maybe know about it in passing. It wouldn't be the first thing we learned about in first, second, and third grade. Some schlep that landed in Cuba and Hispaniola didn't even land on mainland U.S. Some Italian working for a Queen Isabel of Spain. What does that have to do with the founding of the United States and its ties or the ending of its ties with Britain? Give me a break. This would be put right in the front of the U.S. Capitol. If this doesn't scream one world system, everything around us screams one world system, but most of the truth community thinks flags and countries are separate. I mean, can you believe that at this point? How could anybody believe that? Next image. I don't know what's coming, but the Notnilc bounty, in terms of giving me things to talk about, never ends, so I thank it very much. This is a postage stamp from the Faroe Islands. Remember at Free Voice, we covered the Faroe Islands and the tunnels they're building between islands, the billion-dollar tunnels. Now, Faroe Islands are up by Iceland, maybe midway between Iceland and Scotland, like way up towards the Arctic Circle. And like 100 people live on each island, but they're building billion-dollar tunnels so people can drive island to island. We thought that was somewhat strange in the freevoice.io video. Okay, so the Faroe Islands have a postage stamp commemorating at the top Leif Erikson's landing in North America. Would he land up in Newfoundland or something up in Canada? And the bottom in the same stamp depicts Christopher Columbus' journey to the New World, 1492. But this is another one world presentation, because to me, there's no way in the world that the Faroe Islands would celebrate this. There's no way in the world the Faroe Islands would care one bit especially about Christopher Columbus, Italians in Spain, and the United States. But what this is probably saying from a one world system perspective is one's real and one's fake. That's the message I take away from it. Why don't you write in the comments what message you take away from it? One's real. The Leif Erikson one, shooting his way over to Newfoundland or Upper Canada, is probably real. Those Vikings were hardcore pipe-hitting sons of bitches. It's probably real. The bottom one, it was probably fake. That's why else do you put them both back to back in a stamp like this? You think just the Faroe Islands, the people just really wanted to celebrate this? Why? What does that have to do with the founding of your own island, sir? Why don't you mind your own business? Faroe Islanders, what do you have to do with Spain, Italy, or the founding of the United States? Why don't you mind your own business when you create your postage stamps? Put a damn penguin on it, or maybe a pigeon, but leave this shit out of it unless it's a one world system statement saying the top's real and the bottom's fake. That's the way I see it, but who knows? The caption says the Christopher Columbus Monument in Columbus Circle in New York City. And again, same point as before. If anything were real, there would be no Columbus Circle in New York commemorating Christopher Columbus in a whole circle with his own statue. There might be a few things here and there in the United States, but not a major monument inside America's most important city. It's just, again, it's an Italian explorer sailing for Spain that landed on Cuba. Really? Like, who really gives a flying F? This is really important to Notnilc for some reason. It's super, I don't know how to talk about this. I'll say the same things. It's super occulted and esoteric. It means something to the Notnilc we'll never truly understand. Maybe the Splat Turfers are saying, yes, Matt, it pushing the way they push the globe is very important to the... Okay, of course they push the globe, and I understand your position on that. But there's some other reasons I think this is important to Notnilc. My point again is just we would know about Christopher Columbus in passing. It wouldn't be one of the top 20 things we know about as kids in terms of history. It's just not good enough. It's not big enough. There are other reasons it's pushed. It's very much a stuffed Lenin and a Humpty Dumpty. Next, I need to show some of you the caption because you wouldn't believe me. Christopher Columbus Lighthouse, a museum and mausoleum in homage to Christopher Columbus in Santo Domingo, which is the Dominican Republic. Remember, it says museum and mausoleum in the Dominican Republic. It's both. Well, how does that work? You go up the steps as a tourist, as a greeter. Are you here for the museum or the mausoleum? I don't understand. Well, are you here to pay respects to the dead or buried? Did you bring dead to bury, or do you want to go through the museum? Well, I thought it was the same thing. I thought the museum was the dead. I know there's two separate things. If you want to pay respects to the dead, sir, or bury your dead, you go off to the left. If you want to go to the museum, it's off to the right. I thought it was the same thing. I thought the shrunken heads in the museum were part of the mausoleum. No, sir, it's two separate things. You can do both, but there's two separate entrance fees. And here we go with the vandalism and defacing of the Christopher Columbus statues in the United States. The caption says this particular Christopher Columbus statue in the Baltimore Inner Harbor area was ripped down on July 4th, Independence Day of 2020. Right in the middle of See the Vimy. The protest was not specifically about or against Christopher Columbus as much as it was in support of George Floyd. They ripped that statue down like Saddam Hussein came down in Baghdad. You remember that? Maybe they pulled it down with pickup trucks and ropes. I don't know. And then they tossed it into the Baltimore Harbor. They tossed it right in the water. It was like a recreation of the Boston Tea Party, but this time for George Floyd, if that makes any sense. And maybe it's still down there. Are they going to raise it? They could get Jerry Bruckheimer in here to get a little sub or something and raise it like he raised the Titanic or parts of the Titanic. Raise that Christopher Columbus statue back up, and the George Floyd protesters will come back out, snatch it up again, I guess. I don't know, but you've heard about so many defacings of the Christopher Columbus statue, all in some way associated with BLM, Lives Matter. I mean, come on. How many people in this world fall for it? Guys, getting close to finishing this up, I just have to show you briefly. We're not going to read through all this. It's the same repeating script. It always comes. It never fails. Brutality and abuse of the natives, the indigenous, etc. I mentioned it earlier, but you know it would be coming. Some historians have criticized Columbus for initiating the widespread colonization of the Americas and for abusing its native population. Skipping down to the second paragraph. According to some historians, the punishment for an indigenous person age 14 or older failing to pay Hawk's Bell, or whatever it was called in Spain, worth of gold dust every 6 months, based on blah, blah, blah. If you don't put your gold dust up, and if you don't collect enough gold dust for Columbus and his posse, they're going to cut your hands off. It says was cutting off of the hands of those without tokens, often leaving them to bleed to death. Is anybody surprised there's further abuse of the natives and indigenous? No, this has to come every single time. I guess we'll end at this part. Once again, the Notnilc rears its ugly head with disgusting hypocrisy. Let's look at this. We looked at the image earlier. Later life, illness, and death. Christopher Columbus had always claimed that the conversion of non-believers was one reason for his explorations, and he grew increasingly religious in his later years. Oh, sure. Conversion of non-believers. I want to get to the indigenous and the natives and show them the ways of Catholicism. But wait a second, wasn't the last segment that we looked at the brutality of the indigenous? Is that how you convert them over? Oh, you didn't get enough gold flakes for us. You didn't get enough gold powder for us. Put your hand out, get the machete. Is that how you convert? Really? Is this true? The main reason I want to take these, I want to convert the natives and the non-believers by immediately trying to chop their hands off for not producing gold flake for you, sir? Give me this is typical Notnilc, just disgusting hypocrisy as usual. Oh, God. He became increasingly religious. Oh, that's just one more 3 cheers for the Catholic Church. Just one more feather in its cap. Probably, let's talk about the Inquisition and that horseshit some other time. It wasn't horseshit. It was real and it was brutal, and I blame the Catholic Church for it, but let's not get too upset. Probably with the assistance of his son Diego and his friend, the Carthusian monk Gaspar Goricchio. He probably baked a heck of a stromboli. Columbus produced 2 books during his later years. I didn't read this. I have no idea where this is going. I mean, when it gets boring, I'll just end it. The Book of Privileges. Oh, God. Detailing and documenting the rewards from the Spanish crown to which he believed he and his heirs were entitled. A book of prophecies. What a jerk. Second paragraph. In his later years, Columbus demanded that the crown of Castile give him his 10th of all the riches and trade goods yielded by the new lands as stipulated in the capitulations of Santa Fe. Give him his 10th. He demanded a 10th of all the things coming and going from the New World for how long? Through today? Maybe that's where our taxes going today, to the heirs of Christopher Columbus. But it's more than a 10th, isn't it? Because he had been relieved of his duties as governor, the crown did not feel bound by that contract, and his demands were rejected. After his death, his heirs sued the crown for a part of the profits from trade with America as well as other rewards. Oh, how disgusting. This led to a protracted series of legal disputes. Well, I don't get it. Is the king the king, the queen the queen? Well, see, that proves right there a one world system. Frontmen. Kings aren't really kings. It's Notnilc. Queens aren't really queens. It's Notnilc. The court couldn't be higher than a king and queen, but this just says the court is higher. The court is Notnilc. These people are frontmen. We could probably do another hour on this, but I've got to wrap it up before I lose it. Thanks for being here.